Today is the big day. Blade Runner 2049 hits theaters, and the whole world gets to see if this latter-day sequel lives up to the mystique surrounding the original. Well, we've seen it and wanted to explore some of the surprising connections between 2049 and the original Blade Runner. And of course, there are going to be some light to heavy spoilers dropped in this video, so you have been warned. Now, whether you are a replicant or a real person, we would love it if you hit that subscribe button and ding that little notification bell as well. Overall design aesthetic. In a world where movies are getting sequels and soft reboots 20 to 30 years down the line, one of the most difficult things to maintain is the design choices of a movie made in the 80s as opposed to how design for film is done now in the 10s. Which is why you get things like Tron Legacy looking very little like Tron, or why the Star Wars films don't feel like the prequels or the original trilogy. Which is why we were blown away by Blade Runner 2049. The design choices and presentation in this film overall make the movie feel like a living, breathing extension of the seminal 1982 classic. From the opening set dressing on Sapper's farm to the messy tube TV setup in Deckard's Las Vegas hideout. This movie really nails the little things that make it live in the Blade Runner universe, and that is something that is not only difficult to do, but almost impossible if you consider the other long-run sequels that have been made. Rachel. As a Nexus 6 replicant, Rachel was a very big part of the original Blade Runner. Not only as the love interest for Deckard, but as the vision that a replicant can be more human than human, and that Tyrell had been building replicants with more memories and emotions. After Deckard finishes off Roy Batty and the rest of his Nexus 6 gang, he absconds with Rachel into hiding, and depending on the cut you see, you get a potential Deckard replicant revelation, and it turns the ending into a Bonnie and Clyde robot on the run love story. In 2049, this storyline is the central crux and plays a major part in the mystery of the film. Without saying too much, a miracle occurs for the replicants, and Officer K, played by Ryan Gosling, has to track down the replicants attached to that miracle, which leads him to Rachel and the now defunct Tyrell Corporation. In most long-run sequels, this would be a small cameo-style footnote, but in 2049 it was incredibly surprising that it was the backbone for the entire film. K's investigation mimics Deckard's. This one is more of a story structure thing, but in the way both of these films play out, they are very similar. Many scenes involve the two characters performing different investigative tactics in very similar ways. In the original Blade Runner, Deckard scans and enhances an image by moving through quadrants and going back and over again and again until he finds what he's looking for. This is mimicked by K in 2049 by analyzing the bones of a dead person and zooming in and going back and enhancing until he finds a microscopic detail. One which sends him off on a lead that ultimately unravels his whole investigation, not unlike the original Blade Runner. These similar flourishes between the characters will no doubt help fuel the "was Deckard a replicant" debate for years to come. Well, at least until the next Blade Runner film 35 years from now. Futuristic caste system. In Blade Runner, there is no mistaking the fact that the replicants are slave labor, slave warriors, and sex slaves. Basically what we are saying is that they are slaves. This slavery has led to some rebellions in the new films, and the replicants as we know them are all shut down and eventually replaced by Neander Wallace's obedient ones. But the caste-style system from the original film remains even after 35 years of progress in society. Officer K is often yelled at by his peers as a skin job, or having the replicant slur Skinner painted on his door. So real people still don't like replicants all that much. The most surprising thing though is that replicants also have a prejudice in this new film, one which is aimed at AI life forms. There is a moment in one of the coolest visual sequences of the film where a replicant girl tells Ana de Armas, Joy, that she shouldn't act so high and mighty because she is empty and unlike Joy, she is real. It is a really small moment, but it ties back into the lore of this universe and its predilection for treating non-organic life forms poorly. Advertising everywhere. In the original Blade Runner, LA is peppered with advertisements for Atari, Pan Am, and Coke, among other things. The adverts are always present and in your face, urging you to consume and to buy things, which was eerily similar to how the world has actually turned out. In Blade Runner 2049, advertising is still omnipresent, from real products like Coke, Pan Am, and Atari, to new things like the Wallace Corporation's Joy AI lovers or energy drinks. The new film takes the connection even further by having these adverts being projected straight onto the windows of people's homes. Like some sorta super neon sign, but blasting directly into your home at all hours of the day. I mean, we like Coca-Cola too, but come on, no need to have the ad playing on my window shades 24/7. Synthetic stuff versus real things. In the original Blade Runner, there are a few moments referencing synthetic creatures such as Tyrell's owl or Zora's python, with characters often referencing the animal and whether or not the creature is real or fake. The response to this is always something financially based. In the case of the owl, it's Rachel saying of course it's fake and Deckard responding must be expensive due to how lifelike it is. Or in Zora's case, it is her referencing that she wouldn't be working as a go-go dancer if she could afford a real snake. In 2049, there is a little connection to that bit of the original film. When Kay finally meets Deckard, he encounters Deckard's dog. During a moment of exposition, Kay asks Deckard if the dog is real, and in a break from the previously established financially based retort, Deckard flippantly says, "Ask him." It's a neat callback to the original that enriches the lore of the new world by peppering it with small references to the original film. Gaff. In the original film, Edward James Olmos plays a young detective for the LA police force named Gaff. He is the closest thing Deckard has to a partner in the investigation, and even that is kind of a generous statement. But Gaff plays an important part in the film, getting Deckard some expositional moments of realization and laying down some amazing origami. There has been some debate over the years to whether or not Gaff is a human or a replicant, and like the Deckard debate, there just wasn't enough information to go on. Well, it was very surprising to have a much older Gaff make an appearance in the film during Kay's initial investigation. Now the debate will shift from is he a replicant to, well, if Sapper aged and he's a replicant, then why wouldn't Gaff and Deckard be able to age as well? Subreddits will be alive for years with these debates, fueled by this surprising addition from the original film. Memories. In the original film, the replicants are given memories, things that happen to other people and implanted in the replicants' heads so that they feel as though they are real people and not slave robots. In 2049, the replicants still have memories, but they are no longer ones that belong to real people, but fabrications. The film cites this change as necessary because the real memories worked too well and elicited an all too real emotional response from the replicants. This discussion of memory not only ties into the murderous rampage of Roy Batty in the original film, but also strengthens his diatribe at the end of the film where he talks about his memories. The impact of that scene is deepened now because he doesn't talk about old memories, but the ones he has made since his creation, and that his experiences are important. This is echoed by Kay with his love for Joy and investigation turning oddly personal due to his memories. Inverse time selection. This one is more of an implied and amorphous connection to the first film. The amazing Roger Deakins has shot some of the best and best looking films you will ever look at. So when they brought him on to shoot 2049, we were ecstatic, and looking at the choices they made for the time of day that they were shooting, we can see why they needed the best shooter in the world. In the first film, the movie takes place almost completely indoors or at night, and the shots are cramped and filled with people, buildings, and things. Basically, all the elements of dystopia that we know and love were pretty much generated by the original Blade Runner. So, to see the sequel to the film go almost the inverse for its shot selection is an amazing nod to the first film. In 2049, there are tons of sweeping shots that show large portions of the architecture of future Los Angeles. And almost all of them are during the daytime. Sure, there are still tons of noir-style night shots and cramped angles, but the connection to the first film as far as shooting aesthetic is this beautiful inverse that ties the world together, giving us the other half of the Blade Runner universe. The shot selection of the film may actually be our favorite part of Blade Runner 2049, which is a great film, but they will be studying Deakins' angles and shot selection for a long time after this film leaves cinemas. Deckard is or isn't a replicant. The big mystery of the first film, and let's be frank here, depending on which cut you see, there is a very different telling of this mystery, and we aren't going to pick sides, he's a person. But 2049 does an amazing job of walking the line of is Deckard or isn't Deckard a replicant. 2049 revolves around a central premise of figuring out a miracle replicant baby whose parents are Deckard and Rachel from the original Blade Runner, which is crazy even if it's a human and replicant having a child. But there are small moments in the film where they say he is a replicant, then there are other characters saying things that contradict that and state he is a person. Deckard's whole interaction with Neander Wallace at the Wallace headquarters goes back and forth on the line between is he or isn't he. This is the most surprising connection to the original, mainly because in this day and age of film sequels, when one pops up 30 years later, any mystery that the first film contains is almost guaranteed to just be plopped in your lap and kill the mystique that the original film cultivated. Which is nice for some people to get that payoff, but it was truly surprising to see 2049 toe the line and keep up the mystery of, is he a replicant or is he a man? While expounding on the series' virtues of doesn't matter if you are or aren't when you know that you are real. And that's the list. Was there some other connection we missed? Let us know in the comments and make sure to subscribe to our channel and watch our other videos.